There we go.
Hopefully you can see my browser. You got it?
We're good. All right.
Great. Okay. So yeah, so you can go to jobpagegrader.com. As I said, this is a completely free tool to use. There's a little bit of information on the page that showcases what this tool does. Now, obviously, I had some demo page, so I'll quickly give you an example of some jobs. One of them I was going to do was Netflix's careers. Let's go to their website. What we do is we take an actual job page, URL of one of their jobs. So let's take one of these, and then we paste in the URL of that job. Just add my email address in and hit let's find. And what it's doing is it's looking at a lot of things here. It's looking at up to 80 metrics. It's looking at the quality of the content. It's looking at under the hood in terms of the quality of the code. It looks at things like accessibility. There's I think there's around 10 different APIs we use, from things like Google's Lighthouse, Microsoft Cognitive Services. We're using W3C accessibility tools to check the quality of this job description. Now, the time it takes to actually grade the job is dependent on the actual quality of the job. Interestingly, with Netflix was a challenge when we were actually building this tool a couple of months ago, when we launched it. Was obviously every single job page is coded in a different, complete way in terms of the HTML code. So we had to make sure that we tested thousands and thousands of different brands and different jobs to be able to release it, to be really confident with the tool. So what we've got here is we've got this actual job as being graded, and we grade everything from a mobile perspective because that's what we understand what Google wants. Everything is mobile first now. And what it does is it breaks down the overall score, which we've got as 60 right now. It breaks it down into engagement, conversion, performance, and SEO. And what you can do is you scroll down the page, you can then break down the different elements of each of these sections. So as an example, from a sentiment point of view, it will give you some insights here. We've got some insights in terms of readability, practicality, so there's no real, it doesn't understand that there's images on that page. And then we've got things like discrimination bias. So here we're using lots of feminine words, which isn't so bad, but when it's obviously more masculine words, then it highlights it as an issue. Within conversion, they do have an application form on the page, which is great, but we've found some issues when it comes to reading the actual job description in terms of the reading level. There's obviously lots of different APIs working out all of these metrics, but there's a lot of research that's gone into this as well. So the length of a job description is based on tons of research we've done as well. Then look at SEO. So where obviously Netflix have fallen down is what we call schema markup within the code of their job. Schema markup is basically telling Google what this page is. So Google doesn't understand it's a job. It doesn't understand where the title is, if it has a salary or anything. It doesn't understand all the attributes of the content. So what we have here is we're basically scraping it and saying, well, we don't have any of this information, so it's likely that this job won't appear on Google for Jobs. We've got some metadata issues. We don't have a meta description. We've actually got a canonical issue here, which means that Google could penalize them for duplicate content. Then we look at things like mobile, whether they're using accelerated mobile pages, if you're familiar with that. And then we look at speed and the quality and the size of the page as well. Speed is a big thing at the moment with Google's new algorithm that's about to be released in May, which is all about page experience. So right now, this page is taking, let's take a look, where are we? We're taking 13 seconds. We're taking 20 seconds to interact. So the interact time is really the benchmark that you should be aiming for of when a candidate can begin to scroll and move around the actual job description. The benchmark with Google for the great score is 3.8 seconds. And then once you get past 7.8 seconds, then you're potentially losing 10% of your audience each time.
So interactive means either scrolling or clicking on something?
Yeah, so as a web page will start to load, like as in Paint itself, just start to load in the images, render JavaScript throughout that page. By the time the page is fully loaded and being able to interact with it, that's what we're saying here, that it takes 20 seconds to load. What we have as part of this tool, so that's just one of the scores. Let me just pull up another example. Here's a career site that we built. While that loads, a pull up example as well. So here's King, creators of the famous Candy Crush game. So we'll just grab one of their jobs, take the URL. What we can do is we can do a comparison, a side-by-side comparison. So it may be that you wish to look at your job versus another one of your jobs, or maybe compare one of your jobs to a competitor to see how it performs. So it's not just a case of looking at the one job, you can do a side-by-side comparison. So you can see here that a website that we've built, it scores 86. You can see the overlay here in terms of where we outperform versus Netflix's page. So if we go through that in a little detail, it gives you a high level overview of those scores. So King, they don't have an application on the form on the actual page, unfortunately. They take the candidates away, but we do have things like Google for Jobs. It's all built for mobile, and the speed and the performance are hitting all of those key metrics that we want to make sure that we're hitting. So just to take you back to the page in terms of what you can get from this. So as I say, there's lots of insights where we're trying to give you information about how you can improve by, say, for example, gender bias. You can remove particular words. I think with other types of adverts you'll test, it will give you insights in a number of areas. If you need any help with your job descriptions, you can obviously contact us to do that. So we can help you with either job descriptions, career sites, CRM with our partner Beamery, who we've built this with, or SEO, or even Google for Jobs. And then there's some great articles and tips and tricks that we continually add to the bottom of this as well. And that is a quick whistle-stop tour. I'm really sorry that my browser decided to not play ball. I had a few other examples, but hopefully that gives you a picture of what this tool does.
Yeah, definitely. Jim, what are your sort of top 2 or 3 metrics on this report that you think are the most important for the average recruiter to know about?
Yeah, it's a great question. As I mentioned before, I think Google's algorithm that's going to come along, which is going to really hit a lot of websites in terms of performance, is speed. So looking at the speed of a website takes to load. If a candidate is on a mobile device, coming from Google, because that's where most searches come from, 7 out of 10 searches start with Google. They hit your key landing page on your careers website. And that's the first time they've ever seen your brand, they're beginning to hopefully immerse themselves in your employer brand. If that experience takes too long, then they're just going to go back to Google and go to one of your competitors. I think there's a lot of talk around diversity, equity, inclusion, so like not discriminating against, for candidates by saying the right things. Netflix have got some great content. I've probably been a little bit harsh with them on their job description, but they've got great content when it comes to DEI. And Google for Jobs is just, it's simple, to add schema markup to a job page that can give you visibility on page 1 of Google. So they would be the key things I would look at: the quality of the content, getting your visibility on Google for Jobs, and looking at that page experience for a candidate. Most of them look like shopping lists. Amit just said there before, it's 81%. I'm not going to read it. So make them more engaging. If you look at what we've got with King as an example, we've got great imagery. We've even designed bullet lists to match their Candy Crush icons, and then we're immersing them in more content. What's like to live and work in Barcelona, what's like to move to Spain, and what's like to work in teams and see other jobs as well as hear employee stories too. So do everything you can to make your job descriptions, your job pages as engaging as possible to keep them there and hopefully to convert them, but make sure it's a great experience.
Yeah. I like that King example. It's a very readable page. You can quickly glance at it and get a sense of the job and the company all in one shot there. So excellent tool, Jim. I love the product, and love what you guys are doing with that. And great job on pushing that out there.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Thanks everyone.
All right, Job Page Creator. That's Jim. Thanks a lot, Jim. We'll catch you on the rebound.